What's good, everybody? This is Chris. I'm here to put another episode out here on YouTube. I'm teaching you guys a lot of different things. I go into way more detail, step by step, on how to make money in licensed cannabis in the content courses. But I still want to give you guys a lot of tidbits of game on the main channel. From the outside looking in, a lot of people think the cannabis space is great and that you're going to just become a millionaire by working in it. What I want to point out is some of the challenges involved, as well as some of the risks. And a lot of that just lies in your own choices and your own relationships and steps and how you choose to carry yourself, what you choose to do in each situation. You're either gonna level yourself up or be your own demise. Part of that is really stems from just even the people you associate with, affiliate with, hang around with. If someone were to bring you up in a room where you're not present, A, what would they say about you? Would it be good or bad? B, who would they affiliate you with automatically? Do they automatically put you into a group? That's not always the best case. Maybe it's good to have that conglomerate, or this is my crew of people and we're always working together. But let's say things go bad, or someone, uses your name to get product fronted to them and then they don't handle the situation right, then it blows back on you. Any number of situations could happen, but all I'm saying is by lumping yourself into a group, you automatically are now dragging yourself into extra bullshit potentially that group's gonna bring into your well-being, your life, So it's an age-old saying, be careful who you do business with and choose your business partners wisely. And you really can't understand that until you go through it. So all I'm stressing is you're gonna learn it on your own one way or the other, but just try to do yourself an extra layer. Think twice before you sign partnerships and agreements, and take it slow. You can always increase, you can always turn the volume up, you can't always back it down. So there's no reason to jump into bed with a group of partners or a partner, right away. Ramp it up. And I don't want to make this video about negativity or anything, but it's literally just facts of the matter that you got to kind of understand in order to carry yourself and maneuver the right ways so you don't get screwed over. And that's the overarching theme of this video, is watching out for the people that want to take advantage of you. Leeches, snakes, parasites, robbers, all different labels you could put onto them, you know what I mean? Even the state, even the city, they have you by the balls when it comes down to the licensed cannabis space. You have to do everything by the book, and that costs money, that costs time. A phone call I just got off of my friend, he's building out an indoor grow in Northern California, and when he told me he was getting into it, he told me what his expectations were in time and money. I don't want to say I laughed at him, but I told him very bluntly, look, it's going to cost you 2 to 3 times what you're expecting, if not more. And it's going to take you 3 to 4 times the time frame you're talking. And he laughed at me saying, watch, I'll do it quicker. And he just got off the phone. I'm not saying it's because I'm right, but he was just literally saying bro, you told me over a year ago that I'd be in this position, and I'm in this position. I'm bringing that up because that's something that if other people knew about from the start, it wouldn't jump in so quickly, because it's easy to jump into things when there's a hype out there and when everyone's talking about it and everyone thinks that it's the next best thing, they're gonna become a millionaire overnight. There's no inside look at what's going on literally from the day-to-day basis and getting through it. That's what my friend was saying on the phone, who I was just talking about with the indoor grow. He really thinks it's just the game is set up to just weed people out. Literally, it's just who can survive the longest. In one way or the other, whether it's the government doing that or big business doing that or a combination of both, it's kind of what it does seem like, because so many people have been just eaten up by this, just from carrying costs, just from bad business, bad partnerships, from robberies, from a combination of all of the above. It's a battle. You go to battle pretty much every day to make it to the next level. So when you're in battle, you got to kind of know your enemies. You got to be aware of them. You got to be aware of the tricks. Like I said, snakes, people will leech off you. They'll make you think that they're your best friend. And as long as they keep getting that, whatever they're getting from you, it could be just directly money, it could be connections, it could be, just workflow. Maybe you're connected to all these farms or whatever, and you have flower that can be pushed through their network too, and they look at you like you're the conduit to that. So there's all these different reasons that people will try to play you against yourself and put them in a position to have the upper hand. The easiest way to avoid this is to avoid as many people as possible. And it sounds kind of funny, but what I'm trying to say is keep your circle small. Keep your information limited. and compartmentalized. Don't put all your eggs in one basket with either people or trust or business or whatever. You want to mitigate that and spread it out just like you would an investment portfolio. You don't want to put all your business eggs in the hands of one person. That being said, you really want to kind of minimize the amount of people you allow into your circle and that you do business with. You want to maximize the amount of quality business. This goes straight into the 80-20 law. 80% of your money will come from 20% of your vendors, or 80% of your sales will come from 20% of your buyers, or 80% of your income will come from 20% of your efforts. That being said, if you go spin your wheels, expelling 100% of your energy, only 20% of what that whole entire process is really going to attribute to the majority of your income. That's where the term diminishing returns come in, where you're out there doing work, but you're not even making enough to justify it in terms of expenses, risk, time. It's an ongoing thing. It's always going to happen in life. And if you don't stay on guard, you're going to get people take advantage of you, whether it be from the lawyers. Like I have lawyer phone calls where I have to rudely interrupt them to just shut them up. So they're literally just riding out their call time. I had a call with 2 lawyers the other day. It cost $600. Even one lawyer is trying to bring up past cases. I'm like, bro, stop giving me your case examples. I don't need like an audition here. Like, just get to the point, tell me the facts. But, you know, they're making money too. And this can be down to like anybody. We got electricians at the grow that come in and charge us ridiculous money. And then we go get another electrician or call a friend or something and get a comparison quote. And, you know, it's easy to find this stuff out. And then those people are just X'd off the list. So it's a blend of allowing people to give themselves enough rope to hang themselves, you know, metaphorically speaking, to where you allow them to fuck up in a way that shows you their true character. And it'll come out over time. That's all you have to do is keep it compartmentalized, keep it limited to the people that you have to bring in, and don't give out more trust than you can too early. People have to earn the trust, and it's very important, and it's something that you can never really give back. When people break the trust, that's it, because there's just no more second chances. You can't trust them after that. No matter how much, even if they're an angel the rest of their life to you. It's like a dog that bit someone and they put him to sleep. Otherwise, they never know, like maybe he'll bite someone again. Maybe it'll be a kid, or maybe it'll be worse. So you really got to take this seriously on both sides. And that's why your reputation is so important. Because if it's tainted, or if people are talking shit about you for whether they're hating or certain reasons, or, you know, if there's truth to it, that's the other thing, is don't give people ammunition against you. Like, always do proper business. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because that makes you look bad too. You know, if you're always showboating and saying like you do this and do that, and buy this and buy that, but then when it comes down time to do business, it's just not getting done. It just doesn't match. You know, actions speak louder than words. So that's very important. You know, your reputation, your trust, your actions and words aligning, and that's just good karma. A little side note is really what karma is your thoughts, actions, and words aligning. So if you think something differently and you say something differently and you do something differently and they're not all congruent, that's what attracts bad karma. So if you're telling somebody one thing but doing something different, it's bad karma. You get the idea. So make sure your thoughts, actions, and words all align. That's just a good basic thing to just be a good human. Just try to do good business. Keep your trust with people, even if that means paying debts. And it's been situations where I've had to pay back other people's debts. I've had to pay back robberies. It just goes with the territory. It's just part of doing business. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be in the positions that I'm in to be able to continue doing business. So to the normal person, some of these losses or whatever might look big, but it's part of doing business. And that's why it's important to understand all the inner workings, and to understand that when someone makes big money or a big commission one time, that doesn't mean anything. Especially, like I always say with growers, they collect big sums of money all at once. They sell these big 100, 200 pound harvests of indoor, and it's like maybe $250,000 sitting there. But all that money could just be deleted right away in expenses and back pay and taxes and all this stuff. So it's not always liquid money. It's not always what meets the eye. You really got to understand that when you start in this business, not only do you want to have proper funding and a good plan, but you also want to have your partners in check, and also make sure that you keep your circle small and know that you can trust them. And it's hard to do. It's very hard to do, I'm not going to lie. And this business is hard. And there's no quick, easy way to getting rich in that. Like I said from the start, I'm here to show you the good and the bad and what it takes to make it. There's no middle ground. There's no walking the line. And I've seen it happen. I've been through it. I've followed people's leads where I'm like, well, they've been in these backgrounds and they want to do it this way, but I know it doesn't get done that way, but let's try it their way. And I've been through all these scenarios, and time again, it all comes back to just, you got to just buy and sell cannabis how cannabis needs to be bought and sold. And you can't expect it to be ran like another business, because there's no other business like it. It's like, if you're a surfer, understanding the power of the ocean. The ocean's beautiful and all, but it can kill you quick in so many different ways. Same with cannabis. It's a great industry. You can definitely make money in it. It helps people. It's got a huge growth potential, but it can metaphorically and figuratively kill you in so many different ways. So you really gotta understand what it is you're getting into and give it the respect that it's due, because there's no shortcuts. You can't fake it. There's no faking it. Here's a good one. If people are making it a point to tell you how honest they are, that should be a red flag. That's more of an unsaid thing. That's like trying to convince a girl that you're attractive. She's got to feel that inherently, the essence, you know what I mean? Same with trust. You can't just tell somebody to trust you. So when people say that, keep an eye on those people. Always make sure to get paid from your deals. Don't let it drag on. Don't let people to give excuses like as far as accounting, or, we'll figure it out next time, or we'll take this past deal and combine it with this next deal, and we'll use that money to go buy and double up our profits. There's so many different ways to do math, and that's a fact too. So make sure you get that done right away. The more time that goes on, 1 day, 2 day, 2 weeks, whatever, the memories fade quick. So don't have discrepancies. Write it down with that person right away, that same day, right in front of it. Have records. I can't stress it enough. And that's the thing, is we have track and trace right now, and people think like, oh, everything's on track and trace. Let's keep everything in check. You can't rely on that. Even the track and trace will get out of whack, or people will make mistakes in terms of returning something and they reject it in the system the wrong way and messes up one side of the books or the others. Or there's all different ways that metric can go awry. So you can't rely on that. You have to have your own internal tracking system. You have to have your own invoicing system. And these all have to match, correlate, and reconcile with each other, including metric. You don't want to let that accounting go on. You want to take care of it right away. At least do the math right away and calculate it and have it written out and both sides agree. So that way, if you do have to carry on your profits or roll over some money or collect it 2 weeks later after some sales are done, you have the exact accounting already done. You know exactly, this money goes here, this is yours, this is profit, this is capital, and there's no question. So that's another way that you can kind of just keep a boatload of stress and hassle. Just don't even deal with it as long as you keep your accounting up to date. So here's another thing too, like I was getting at, is people might rely on you as a conduit, like a conduit to sales or a conduit to sourcing, or maybe both. Maybe it's other things, conduit to their business sense. In that situation, they rely on you. They rely on you for their well-being. So they're gonna do everything they can to not affect that. Whether that's telling you what you want to hear, doing the bare minimum just to get by, just to check the boxes and just get their job done, and maybe not going above and beyond. And this isn't about employees all the time. It could be brokers, sellers, buyers, even drivers. Sometimes too, it bites in the ass where people aren't understanding the whole operation. They think like, oh, these guys are in cannabis and they should be paying me more or whatever. But this is a real business, plus huge taxes, plus huge risk, whether that be from robbery, crop loss, crop failure, mold, old weed, market changes, all these things. So that's why the employees do get paid higher than average hourly rate. Lowest any of my companies ever started was $18 an hour. Usually they start at $20 an hour and go up from there. Minimum wage in California, I believe, is $13 an hour. So we're at our minimum $5 an hour over minimum wage. You never know. People hear things, they see things, they don't have the whole picture, they don't have the whole story. There's haters, there's robbers, there's plotters, people just trying to find a come up, And that's the other thing, is cannabis lawsuits are on a rise, whether that be from employees or from other vendors or from even cities, and even down to the opposite of the cities, like the mayors and stuff of some cities are getting lawsuits and federally investigated and stuff because of corruption happening. Every level you can put it, cannabis has inconsistencies that you can't rely on. So there's a lot of variables. Let's put it that way, a lot of variables. And when you have people that rely on you to make their money and have their well-being, that's just as dangerous as them being loyal, because it's potentially a fake loyalty and you don't know where that's going to lead to. You really don't know what their motives are ultimately. People will lie behind your back to cover their own ass, and in situations where they may have fucked up and you did everything right, and they turn you into the scapegoat because you're just the only other potential option of that being, and they take the blame off them. So that's always just a random rogue risk. Like, that can happen to anybody at any time from anybody. There's nothing really you can do to avoid that other than just do good business and treat people properly with respect. You know, people will have weird motives sometimes. Like, you wouldn't even expect it, and you feel like they all of a sudden think you owe them something, or like you should be buying them a car, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Like, they just don't understand. It's kind of like what you hear when people become a rock star or something. Like, everyone wants to be their friend, or everyone wants to be around you. But then when either the money or the fame's gone, everyone else is gone. You really got to be careful with that. And that goes back to who you're surrounding yourself with, and the groups you're putting yourself into, and just the associations you have. It comes down to like the fundamentals, and when you can get the fundamentals in place, everything else just falls into place. The last piece of advice I want to leave you with is keeping things as simple as possible. The more shit you have to handle, even if it's small stuff, and when you look at it on a single thing, you're like, oh yeah, I can handle this. But then when you add that into a stack of 15, 20 other things, and everything has a deadline and everything's important. You know, you have these high dollar deals happening over here, but then you have big serious commitments like deadlines with permits and taxes and cities and all this stuff. And those are just as important, but then you need to do the work and put the time and focus there to actually get the money to be able to pay for all this stuff. So it's a catch-22, and that's why you want to make sure you have your business plan and your seed money solidified. Last thing you want to do is start having to figure out how you're going to pay for stuff halfway through a project. So yeah, having that minimalist mindset is going to help keep your personal costs down, your business costs down. It's just going to cut a lot of bullshit out of your life. The more stuff you get, the more stuff you want, the more responsibilities you have. So that will take time away from the focus and bandwidth you can be putting towards sales, sourcing, business, all that stuff. All I'm saying is keep things simple, keep your business simple, keep your employees simple. Don't try to be like the biggest, best facility on the block. Keep your overhead, your run rate, all their costs low, because you don't know, things might start off good, but you never know how long they'll last, what speed bumps come up, what delays come up. So don't live beyond your means. It's an age-old lesson, and you know, if anyone's been doing this stuff for a while, you know, I've been through it when I was younger, where you come into large sums of money quick, and you spend it quick. I don't want to say you regret it, but you look back and you have buyer's remorse. You know what I mean? You're like, man, I didn't really need that. But before you bought it though, you had like a certain itch and anticipation. You're like, oh wow, if I get that, everything will be good. Like, oh, I just need this or that. You get all this excitement, and then once you go get it, it's short-lived. So once you can figure that out, it really helps simplify things both in business and personal life, because you need to be able to have, even if it's 2 hours a day or, you know, 1 day a week or whatever, just the ability to really try to like disconnect as much as possible and take a true day off if you can, or talked about just going into nature or try to recharge some different ways. But by keeping things out of your life that's unnecessary, that can help a lot. And also just keep your business just more clean, just straightforward, and just stay focused and just stay in your lane and just keep the money rolling in. So hopefully some of these tips can help out. It's just like the example with the ocean. You gotta respect the power that it has. It has a lot of power to change a lot of lives, and it's not always just to change them in good ways. So you have to understand how to minimize that, mitigate it, and avoid it, and selectively choose situations you put yourself in. This video we're gonna put out on the regular YouTube channel, but this type of detailed content is what's available on the content courses, except it's gonna be more uplifting most of the time, where I'm gonna show you exact action steps to be taken to actually get going and start making money from licensed cannabis. So put any of your questions down in the comments, follow us on the IG. We're gonna start putting out snippets of game out there on the IG too, so make sure you follow the stories and our feeds. Let us know any questions you got, and tell us some of your experiences or issues you may have had. Thanks, and see you next time.